There we are. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the April, what is the date?
25th.
25th,
The
April
25th.
25th, April 25th, conversation for Perfect Connections. And we were about to hear Nancy tell us her experience at MNAFEE.
Well, my experience was very positive. I was there both Thursday and Friday because I can commute from home. Um, and and I always consider it an opportunity to kind of get a handle on some things maybe that are new and refresh and and touch base with peers, well, parent ed peers. And I don't know how valuable it is to hear about somebody else's experience at a conference. You know what I mean? I think it's hard.
Well, I guess like last year when we talked, it was more like what sessions did you go to? What did you
Okay.
learn? You know,
Okay.
kind of thing.
Well, they did a really great job this year of putting speaker notes. If the speaker submitted them to whomever from MNAFEE was posting them, they did a really great job of making that available to everyone. I mean, so for example, as often happens to me, I don't know about the rest of you, but there's often two sessions at the same time where I think, gosh, how can I divide myself? So, I could go back because I made a copy of the list of sessions. I could go back and see if those presenters put notes in or something. It's not quite the same as being there, but maybe one step closer than I am when I'm in a different session. Um, the speaker the first day was somebody from the University of Minnesota, I believe, if I'm remembering that right. Dr. Philip David Zalazzo,
Oh, yeah, Phil Zalazzo. Yep.
brain function.
Mhm.
And I, uh, I found much of what he said interesting. I think I could tell that some people were kind of checking out a little bit, though. It felt kind of more like a college course lecture, maybe, you know. So, but I always have notes from just about anything. It was about executive function and brain development, and so that's an interesting topic, obviously. And then after that, I decided to attend something called Understanding AI Practical Teaching Tools for Early Child Education. And that was a gentleman who does technology in, I forget what district he's in. Um, so, as the title said, for early childhood education, most of it was really geared towards classroom teachers with young children. But there were a number of us that were parent educators, and when we asked him, so which of these tools that you're describing you think would be practical with adults in parent education, he did the best he could, I think, in terms of telling us about what he thought might be helpful. He didn't mention, is it Gemma that we talked about? Gamma we talked about in this setting maybe a month ago. He did talk about Magic School AI. It's District 742. What district is that? Is that St. Cloud? 742? I'm not sure. So that's where he's from. I've got it here in my notes. But he said Magic School AI for Teachers does have a presentation generator tool. So I'm assuming making a slide deck might help for. I haven't gone into it and tried it. All of the tools he talked about were free versions. Um, he, as I understood it, he wasn't doing anything that wasn't talking about anything that you'd have to have an expensive membership to do. He said Microsoft has something called Copilot, and there's a Google tool which he recommended called Gemini. I believe that's how what he called it, Gemini. And we're a Google district, so that's one that I need to look into, see what would be available there. Um, He talked about how important it was to vet data security, cost, and take a look at the evolving landscape is how he put it to see if it's going to be useful to you. And then he gave some time for us to kind of play with it. There were a couple of sessions this time that talked about technology, which was good to see, right? I attended one called Lessons and Activities for Parenting Practitioners to cultivate parent, family, and community well-being. I wish I had the presenter's names here in front of me. Let's see if I can track down who that was. Um, Beth Magistad, maybe? Yes, she was at the U, right? After you, Susan?
Yeah, she recently retired a couple years ago, but yeah, she was an undergraduate instructor for years. She has a parent ed license, and then she was, because of her t parent ed license and teaching experience, she was moved to the parent ed program and then worked with Heather after I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's gone back to work for something called the Greater Good Science Center at
Mhm.
UC Berkeley.
Oh, mhm.
And she had hoped to bring with her, or at least give us the digital version to a workbook called The Family Wellbeing for the Greater Good. They're getting ready to use it in California public schools, but the digital version is free to anyone. Um, and it, uh, as a speaker, you're coming from, to do this big thing, and then it wasn't ready on time. You know, the PDF version then wasn't released. It had to have been really hard for her to say to all of us, "Gee, the tool I wanted to show you isn't ready." So she had to do some reworking of her presentation the 24 hours beforehand because she couldn't share it. Um, but it was exciting to hear about, and it is one of the things that I intend to follow through on looking that up. Um, there are handouts and digital pages to send to families. There are lessons to do with them about family well-being. It sounded exciting. Maybe I should put that. I'll try to put that in the chat here. Oh, did you find it, Susan?
I'm looking within Greater Good. Greater Good is something that I use here and there, but I'm looking up this, you called it family well-being. And
He
I,
called it Family Well-Being for the Greater Good workbook. And the digital version will be free to anyone, anywhere. We can use it in our classes. That was what I was telling you about, Ellen, when I ran into you and I said, oh, and then I forgot to send you. But I don't have a link. I'm assuming it's probably ready now. There was some glitch in it being available that day that Beth was speaking on it at MNAFEE.
it looks like
Um,
a newsletter. I don't see a workbook, but there's like a newsletter.
well,
Greater Good magazine.
yeah. And if I need to, in the next coming weeks, and I haven't been able to find it, and we were giving her our email address, and now that I think about it, she hasn't emailed us yet. So I'll reach out to her and see if she has a follow-up for us about if she knows when it'll be available. They had said, oh yeah, it'll be done in December, and then they said, oh yeah, it'll be done in January and available in January. Then it was February, and then it was like days before she was going to be there at MNAFEE to speak, and then it wasn't. So
Hmm.
I did go to the session with Becca and Jen from Connecting to Learn about screen use in families, uh, and enjoyed that one. Um, uh, Ellen, join in on what sessions you went to, if you'd like. Parent education during polarizing and stressful times. That's the one Nikki and Ellen said. You should go to that one because it'll feel like an ECFE parent talk time session. And it did very much. Um, I wasn't prepared for sharing notes. Sorry, guys. but I do have notes here someplace. And then I also attended one on tackling tough topics with diverse parent groups. Um,
I went to that one too. I was at that one with you, Nancy.
yeah, yeah. And what district were they from?
Burnsville, Egan Savage, 191.
Hmm. Uh,
Mhm.
um, a male parent educator, which always gets my attention. It's exciting to see.
That's why I went. Seriously, I'm tired of hearing about from women all day. I want to hear a man speak.
And he's a practitioner, and then his coordinator was there with him. He really led the.
Who was it?
Danny O'Brien.
So
Thank you.
Ellen, that's different than mansplain, like
Yes,
than manspeak. Sorry.
man speak, different from mansplain.
Yes.
It was just a good one to go to. And I went to Christy Kuiwa's thing on facilitation. It was just kind of nice to get back to the basics of facilitation, and like, let's remember that. And what I walked away from Danny was like, you guys are in control. You can do whatever you want. So if things are getting nasty, you can say, whoa, done. Like, time out. And it was just that good reminder, like, like we are facilitators and we can be in charge, nicely in charge.
Though for me anyway, on Friday, those two sessions, the one that Nikki and Ellen kind of said, you need to go to this one, and that last one with Danny, they dovetailed nicely,
Mhm.
I thought. They were good to have back to back.
Ellen, how about you? Were there, and Krista, did you go? Okay, so Nancy and Ellen. So Ellen, would you like to share a
Um,
highlight?
Shannon Rader did a session on is parent education still, is our title still relevant? And it was fascinating because we kind of came up, we're like, we don't really like calling ourselves parent educators anymore because it puts people off. So I have the list on my phone. I'll share them with you. We came up with a list of what do we call ourselves? We call ourselves coaches and facilitators. Um, I've actually removed the word parent educator from my title. I call myself a family educator or a family facilitator. So we kind of made a list about like why does it have a negative connotation? Um, does it make it seem like people have to go to ECFE? It was really interesting. We had a really interesting conversation. But if you need a list of like all the things that we do, I'll send that to you because it was really kind of nice. Be like, yeah, this is all encompassing. This is everything we do on one piece of paper.
Yeah.
And of
Do you-
course, it was an hour and 15-minute discussion, right? I can't properly get for you in one um, beat like what we did, but it was really great. I'll send
Having a term that's for the public is one, but we need in some regard that educator for our validation of
100%.
licensure
And that came up.
and you know what I mean for the districts and for licensure. I just feel like there's that tension, right?
Uh-huh.
Because because there this pendulum swing, right? Oh, we should be more like educate, and then oh, but we're not really. So we're really more. I feel like that pendulum piece sometimes.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah.
That came up. Yeah.
Fascinating.
We need to be
What were
relevant.
some of the alternative names for us that were thrown out or whatever? Is that on one of the lists?
That's on the chat, right?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Okay.
So like the guide, coach, obviously relationship, but like no, we're an advocate, team member, builder, conversation. It's in the chat. Basically,
Okay.
what do we call ourselves? And a lot of people, it came out that parent educator is starting to feel a little outdated for what all the things we do. Yet or is it semantics, right? Like, are we just arguing amongst ourselves? It doesn't really matter. And Shannon had put out all the things like NPEN calls it parenting education, and NACE calls it parent ed and like coaching, and it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation, but so it's kind of semantics, right? And like you said, Greta, I don't like to say I'm a parent educator. I don't like to say it because I feel like it puts people on edge. Like I'm teaching you how to be a parent. And that's not what I do. It's not what I do. But to explain myself as my licensure to other people, then yeah, I'm a licensed. So I usually say I'm a licensed family educator or licensed family facilitator or family coach. But I really don't use parent ed very often. But it got us thinking. It was really interesting.
I remember we years ago at one point we were talking about when we were doing it was something district wide. So we need to find our ECFE ambassadors is what so I don't even know if I didn't look at your list here yet, but I'm trying to think of a word like that or something like a licensed family ambassador. I don't know if that's big.
Yes.
I don't know. It's fascinating, isn't it? How language makes it feel different.
Mm-hmm.
And how different groups are going to need to hear it differently. If I'm going to try to sell it in the union to my administration, it needs to be an educator. I feel like I really do. I have to be a teacher. Otherwise, it just doesn't fit in their box. And I'm worried about losing that box then that we've worked hard for. So, yes, interesting.
I didn't write a lot of notes from it, so I can't share really some of her major points very well. But the keynote on Friday, I found very interesting and fascinating. Linnea Devine, she's a social worker who had kind of a crisis of compassion, compassion overload. I don't remember what word she used. Do you, Ellen?
Compassion fatigue
Compassion fatigue.
and burnout.
Yeah, yeah. Um, kind of, dissecting self-care and self-compassion and um, yeah, I found that interesting. And of course, what did I write a note about? The clip she shared in her presentation about Schitt's Creek. Um, the folding in. If you've watched Schitt's Creek, they're in the kitchen and she's saying, I'm going to share my mother's recipe with you. And her son's like, okay, now it says we're supposed to fold it. What does folding in mean?
Just folding in self-care.
Folding in
You
self-care.
fold in the cheese. But she said whenever he says cheese, replace it with self-care.
Yeah.
Fold
Yeah.
in the self-care. What does that mean? What does it mean? Fold in the self-care.
Yeah.
Can you show me one thing? I cannot show you everything, David.
Yeah.
I can't fold in broken cheese.
Oh, come on, do the Moira impression, Ellen. You know you can do it.
David, I cannot
it was,
show you everything.
It was so,
Very good.
how much did we hear about self-care and finding your why and all, I mean, those are, I'm not saying that they're not worthwhile things, but what does it mean? What should I be, and what are you going to support us?
Well, and I took, okay, so I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to switch because I was spurred by her thing on self-compassion to talk about it with my classes. But I was like, I don't really know how I can do this alone. So I tied it with the Surgeon General's report. And I wasn't thrilled with how it was coming out, right? Like I didn't love the lesson. I did it this weekend. And so on my Monday classes, I started it and I hated it because I had my afternoon class I call them the OGs, like they've been coming forever. And I had one parent was like, I can't even look at that report. I just passed it around so they could see it. And I showed them one slide with 33% of parents feel this and 60% of parents feel that. But then I tied it into we can't fix the crappy maternal leave in this country. We can't fix the lack of mental health services, right? Like the things that the past Surgeon General suggested was good for families, that's gone, right? And now I don't see any of that coming down the pike. I said, but how can we become more compassionate to ourselves? Why are we so hard on ourselves and where does that come from? So I turned the lesson from we can't fix a broken system, which is what it is in the country for parents, but how can you fix what's in your circle of control? And I talked about her circle of control, what you can control in the middle, what you have influence over, what you don't have control over. It was a heavier topic than I thought it was going to be because I was telling parents, like, where is this inner voice that's telling you? And I did self-care a couple weeks ago. I'm like, we're not talking about self-care today. We're talking about being kind to yourself. Like, if I were to call you and say, I was the worst parent today, what would you say to me? And they're like, oh, you're not a bad parent. Or, yeah, your kids are being jerks. And I'm like, right, you would be kind to me. You would talk to me like a friend. Why aren't we like that to ourselves? And it went into a conversation. So she even made fun of the term self-care. She's like, I hate this word. This word sucks. And then she showed folding the cheese as an example. Um, but talking about self-compassion and Kristen Neff, if you guys haven't heard of Kristen Neff, Neff, she's at the University of Texas in Austin. And I think Brene Brown is there too. Can you imagine those two together in the same room? But she talked about it was an interesting topic. I had a lot of quiet, dumb stares at me, but I think it's because they were thinking. Um, so yeah, because there's more, I mean, self-care is doing things for yourself, but self-compassion is not beating yourself up over things that kind of don't matter. Does that make sense? That was really what her focus was. Her focus was on that.
Thanks both. Anything else about MNAFEE this year that the other keynotes or the Nancy had been talking about Phil Zalazzo's talk the one day, and then there was at least one other keynote, I think, on
That
Thursday.
was the one we were just talking about.
That was her, the self-compassion one.
And I didn't go on Wednesday. Did you, Ellen? I
Yeah,
did.
no, I was there, but I was just because my ride was up there, so I didn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't attend. And he was sick anyway, so people were not very happy.
Oh,
Dad chats, yeah, Dylan White, he was ill. He became very ill, like at 3 o'clock. So,
oh,
Oh, no.
hmm
Shoot.
hmm
So, so he had to leave, or
he
he
would
was.
didn't he didn't show up,
Oh,
and they did not refund money, so people were not very happy. I mean, I get it. How can they, you know what I mean? They
yeah.
still had snacks and food, but they wouldn't let people who weren't registered in. I was like, well, maybe I'll go now since he's not coming. They're like, sorry, you can't come in. I was like, fine. So Becca and I went and got snacks at Free Mill. It was fine. Had a date with Becca.
There you go. Good.
Hmm.
But they showed a couple of his videos and they talked, and yeah, but people were really bummed that he
Yeah.
didn't. And then he apologized in his next reel on Instagram. He apologized. I'm sorry for everyone at MNAFEE that I wasn't there.
Oh,
So next year, I can look forward to him next year.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm
It happens, you know.
Yeah, he was vomiting and he had a fever. So no, we didn't want him
Oh,
there.
no. Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, thank you both for sharing about MNAFEE. Look forward to it again next year. Same place, same time-ish.
No, it's a week later next year.
it
Oh,
is?
Yeah, it's a week later.
Is it off of the week of the young child then?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's one of the big reasons it's been tricky to
I'm
come.
wondering if somebody beat them to the venue.
Oh,
Yeah, it's April 20, 20,
April.
22, 23, 24.
oh, interesting.
Oh,
Yep.
good to know. Did
Mm.
they tell us that? How did I miss that?
I just saw it. I saw it on something. I saw it on some handout somewhere.
Okay, 22, 23, 24.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice to know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
which does not work with my, whatever. I'll figure it out. The week it was just worked better, but for me to skip next year, skip not having classes, but oh well, what are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah. So what else would you guys like to talk about today? Any questions that you have for each other? If there's anything you want to talk about off camera, I can pause the recording. Any way that the group can support you this week? I'm finding doing just normal things is a reinforcement. I've realized that when you go through trauma, that you lose yourself, and so doing things like going to choir practice and coming to my Perfect Connections meeting and stuff like that, or like, oh yeah, that's right, that's who I am. That's who I am. I am not crazy. So thank you for all being here today to do this. So anyway, back to you. Anything else?
I have something I'd love to throw out there, and maybe don't record it. I don't know if it'd be a huge deal, but just in case.
Go. So we have about five, 5 or 7 minutes left. Anything else for the good of the crowd? Keep promoting the retreat. Registration is slow, I have to say. So, I'll send out a reminder at some point, but how was that talking about the retreat at MNAFEE, you guys? Did
Uh,
anybody, people seem,
yeah. Ellen had those flyers ready and people were taking photos of them. Some of the speakers where I attended, I would ask, would you mind if I send this down the aisles or, or at a break or when we were talking about something in a group.
I can also put it on Facebook again
good,
on Friends of Family Ed
yeah.
with the little poster I made.
What?
I've been so swamped. I have barely had time to breathe
Yeah.
lately. So
And I'm sure there's some sort of marketing psychology to, because I think we've all been recipients of enough is enough. Okay. If I was going to register, I would have registered. I don't need a reminder every day, you know. So, but I think I sent it out, it was like the 8th or the 9th, and this is 2.5 weeks later, something like that. So, yeah, maybe every few weeks or something. Just want to catch people because I think there's some people thinking about it, and there's some people, who come every year that I'm not concerned about that we haven't heard from yet. So anyway, but people seem pretty interested or wanting to join us this year.
Depending on what their summer schedule looked like. Sarah from Ely, what is her last name? Susan.
Hanson. Sarah
Hanson.
Hanson.
Hanson and I had a couple conversations about it. And, at first she was remembering that you've encouraged her to do one there
Mhm.
up north. And she was talking about that. And then as the table, I think it was a mealtime, was talking about it more, she said, maybe I should come this year. I should make the drive and come down. So,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. I mean, it's not a short drive for her, right?
no, right.
But it'd be great if she could. And, we can connect with Laura. Hopefully Laura wants to come back, do some yoga, or maybe not, and just be part of the group. So anyway. All right. Well, anything else, or should we wrap up for the day?
Can I ask real quickly, does anyone know how Sarah Fritsch is doing?
She was there.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she's
Aw.
doing great. She says she's loving it. I mean, Ellen, you were there when we were talking to her.
Yeah, that's the only time I saw her.
Yeah, me too.
What is she doing now?
She's teaching.
She's teaching. Yeah.
But she's at the beginning of last year, she was so overwhelmed by it, but now it's going okay.
So she's still doing like the college
Mhm.
courses, or
Oh my gosh, you
wasn't
guys.
she like a college teaching college classes?
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she's teaching college classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys, can any of you load up Friends of Family Ed on Facebook? It's not working for me. Like I've never had that happen before where it's like this page is not available.
Oh, let's try it here.
I've never had that happen.
Let's see. Friends of Family Education.
It
Yeah,
came
there's 3 new posts. Oh, yeah, the footage from Katie Smith's session where they were singing Happy Birthday to Susan Shore's on the top of mine.
Okay, must be just maybe it's my internet. Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't like deleted
Okay.
because that stuff does happen. Like some people's say pace, things get
Oh,
okay. It must just be my computer
okay. Yeah.
or just me. Because here's what I'm trying to do it on my phone.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
Bizarre.
it comes up on
All
my
right,
phone.
well,
I think
I'll
it's you.
I'll put the poster up when I have internet, which I clearly have right now. I don't know. It's weird.
Is anyone gonna do any of the Ellison book clubs this summer?
Yeah. I I I was kind of I don't know. I was hoping to do one. I'm not sure. It'd have to be, well, they're all virtual, aren't they?
They're all
Our our department's doing the anxious generation this summer, and so I was asking myself, do I really have it in me to do more than one? It's summertime, you know? Um,
we
It would
applied,
force me to read it.
right? I know. We applied for a grant and I'm waiting to hear if we're gonna be able to do it and we're gonna do the anxious generation, but we haven't we haven't been told if we received the grant yet or not. It's anyway, and so I thought maybe I should do a book, one of these. If somebody had done it, I was hoping to hear a little bit, but I was thinking of maybe doing one of these because ours won't be till the fall and get
They
some
seem
ideas, right?
they seem pretty low key. Like they're like, you don't have to read the book. I think it just encourages you to talk about it and to actually read it, especially like you said, Nancy, in the summer.
yeah, I did the Good Inside one with them. Katie, you did that one too, right? And
I did, I'm not planning to do any this summer just because I've got so much going on, but I did the 5 principles of parenting with Becca and Jen, and it was amazing. No, they do a great job.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you with my camera. I've got this little pile of books here
Yes.
that I want to read, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'd
Oh,
rather just ask. Okay, this is insight. I'd rather just ask Chat GPT to give me a summary and tell me exactly what these books are about because I don't know if it's menopause. It's making it so hard to sit down with a book and read, or because it can't be perimenopause. It has to be full out on the other side. I haven't heard, but I just
so
can't read.
here's one to add to your pile. This
Okay.
is something they are giving all of the students, the parent ed students at the U to read.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And yeah, so I bought it off Thrift Books. By the way, Thrift Books is amazing. A, it's not Amazon, and B, stuff is way cheaper. It said this was used. It is not used. It is perfect. So,
Oh, wow.
so
Who's
it's
the
the
author?
title is the Unlocking the Magic of Facilitation.
yep.
Okay.
What you
Okay.
didn't know, you didn't know. 11 concepts you didn't know, you didn't know.
Okay.
Okay.
And then new to me is Chad Littlefield. He has a whole YouTube page about facilitation and groups. So this one he wrote, but he also has a a YouTube page. I've started listening to him. He's great. And
Hmm.
it talks about making people feel important the second they walk in the door. Um, so these are two that I got off Thrift Books, and yep, I'm adding them to my list, Greta. So here's two more for your pile.
Right.
Sorry, Ellen, what
Yeah,
was his
thank
name?
you.
Will?
Chad, Will Wise is
Thank
the
you.
main guy, and then Chad Littlefield is the one who has the YouTube page.
Thank you.
But yeah, so intention, rapport, openness, listening, empathy, and advanced skills. There's a whole section on silence, managing the overtalkers. So I feel like it's kind of like the new group parent education for the new century. I have not opened it. I mean, literally, they smell new and fabulous, but I
Jen
haven't.
and Becca did a nice approach on all of those different personalities. They do have a great
Mhm.
session on some of that stuff too.
Yep, they do.
Uh,
All right, guys, I gotta run. It's prom. It's prom for my
Stay safe.
community, and I'm on the after prom committee. So we're setting up from 3 to 7, and then I think of me tomorrow from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. because I'll be there. I'll be.
Will do. Have a really great
I,
time.
Bring a little earbud so you can listen to Chad while you're there.
yes,
Little earbud.
and not the kids. So yeah.
1 year.
So, Anyway, and I have to go steam my son's suit. It's bright purple. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Whoa, we need pictures.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't, yeah, I will share. He and his friends are going pretty much as a rainbow. So
Oh,
they're
Fun.
wearing all a bunch of bright colors. It's gonna be pretty
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
fun.
So
Yeah.
I'll share pictures. All right, guys, take care.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.